Good morning, class 8. Welcome to your social science class. So students, in our last class in Zoom, we discussed about the role of the parliament, isn't it? So the parliament basically performs three very important functions. The first function is to select the national government. That means the parliament helps in the process of government making. It is the parliament in which government of the country is formed. The second important function of the parliament is to control, guide and inform the government, and it is basically done with the help of a question hour which is conducted in the parliament, where the opposition party plays a very crucial role by asking questions to the government, the ruling party, and by giving feedback to the ruling party, and at the same time they also try to garner support for themselves. And students, the third important function of the parliament is lawmaking. It is the parliament where a bill is transformed into a law. This is how laws are formed. And in order to form a law, a bill has to be approved or it has to be passed in both the houses of the parliament. That is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So students, this brings us to the last topic of this chapter. So the last topic is, who are the people in parliament? So students, without further delay, let us start with our today's class. Well students, the learning objectives of our today's class are: number 1, to understand the greater participation of people from all sections of the society in the parliament. So we will be able to understand how there is an increase in participation of people from different sections of the society in the parliament. And students, at the end we shall also do a recapitulation of all the previously done topics from this chapter. So we will be able to recall, or we will be able to revisit all the important concepts from this particular chapter. Well students, compared to the earlier days, the parliament now has more and more people, the representation of all the people belonging to all the sections of the society. For example students, now there are more rural members as also members from many regional parties. Initially students, the representation in parliament was very limited. Only a certain sections of the people were represented in the parliament, but now various regional parties or various rural parties have also started participating in the parliament. They are also representing the people belonging to the rural areas or the people belonging to various regions. Okay, so students, the various groups and peoples that were till now unrepresented are also beginning to get elected to the parliament. So students, those groups of people who were at the beginning unrepresented, that means those people who were not represented in the parliament in the beginning, are also now getting represented in the parliament through the process of election. That means now they are getting their place in parliament. So now there has been a greater participation of all categories of people in the parliament. So students, there has also been an increase in political participation from the Dalit and backward caste and the minorities. Initially students, the participation of the backward classes of people in parliament was very less, but now in today's world there has been a greater participation in parliament from the members belonging to the Dalit, that means the scheduled caste, and other minority groups of people. That means all these people are now finding their place in parliament. They are also getting a chance to be represented in the parliament. So students, in the table which is given in the picture, you all can see the percentage of people participating in the Lok Sabha elections over the years. It has here it is given from 1951 up to the year 2004. So you all can see some change, some positive change in the percentage of voters. So initially in the year 1951-52 it was 44.87%, that is around 45%. But students, over the years in 2004 it has increased to 58%. So this table reflects the increase in participation of people belonging to different sections of the society in the parliament. So students, it has been observed that representative democracy cannot produce a perfect reflection of a society. So in case of representative democracy, students, what happens? Only a certain section of the people are represented in the parliament, but it does not reflect the true ideals of a democracy. In a democracy, everyone should have the equal right to be represented in the parliament, but in a representative democracy, that rarely happens. So students, it is very important that in a country, all the people should have a fair chance to be represented in the parliament. It is very important that every sections of people should have the right to participate in government making. Every sections of people should have the right that their voices should be heard. So students, keeping in mind all these things, some seats are now reserved in parliament for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, so that the people belonging to the lower caste does not feel deprived. So keeping that idea in mind, in the parliament now seats are reserved for the people belonging to the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes, so that their voices can also be heard, so that they can also have their fair chance of representation in the parliament. So students, this has basically been done so that the MPs elected from these constituencies belonging to SCs and STs, they get familiar with the parliament, with the working of the parliament, and they will also be able to represent the Dalit communities, and they will also be able to represent the scheduled tribe communities in the parliament. That means they will be able to represent the grievances, the queries, the questions of the backward classes of people as well. And it was very important step, and this step has now been taken. Okay. So students, not only the Dalits and the scheduled tribe peoples are now getting representation in parliament, but also it has been recently suggested that there should be seats reserved for women as well. We all know that women are also facing a lot of oppression. In the earlier days, women had faced a lot of depression. Women were discriminated a lot. They were dominated by the male. We all know that today's society, Indian society is basically a patriarchal society where the male members of the family dominates the female members. So students, it is very important that the women should also have the chance to be represented in the parliament. Okay, but students, this issue is still being debated. It has not become clear till now that whether or not seats should be reserved for women in the parliament. This issue is still going on, and it is debated till now. Okay, there has not been a clear-cut decision being made in this regard. 60 years ago, students, only 4% of MPs were women. See, the total population of India, that means out of the total population in India, 50%, around 50% comprises of women, but still only 4% of the women were getting the chance to be represented in the parliament. But today it has increased just a little bit, and it has increased to 9%. But then also it is very less, isn't it? The population of women in the country is so much, but despite that, the participation of women in the government making is so less, only 9%. Initially it was even less, only 4%, but now it has increased just a little bit. Okay, so this is just a small share when you consider the fact that half of the population of the country are women. So this is a very important step that is required to be taken. Otherwise, women will continue to be dominated by the patriarchal society, male dominated society. So students, it is issues of this kind that force the country or the society to ask certain difficult and often unresolved questions about whether our democratic system is representative enough or not. See students, it is only now that women are getting a chance to be represented in the parliament. Only now this thing has happened, that seats are being reserved for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people. So this puts a big question mark in the type of democracy that we are having, that our democracy, Indian democracy, is actually representative or not. It puts a big question mark, isn't it? Because it took a long time for the parliament to give seats to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. it took a long time for the parliament to give seats to the women. Women have been oppressed, they were exploited by the male dominated society for a very long time, but till now also the participation of women in the parliament is very less. The participation of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people initially was very less. So this puts a big question mark whether our democracy is truly representative or not. But students, the fact that we are able to ask these questions and the fact that we are working towards changing this scenario reflects the faith that we have in a democratic form of government. Today, that we are asking this question and that we are thinking of making this change itself reflects the idea that we have some kind of trust in the democratic form of government. Okay, so students, this is all about the topic. That means who are the people in the parliament. Initially in the parliament, the representation of the lower caste people or the backward sections of the society was very less, but now with development, these sections of people are also finding their place in the parliament. They are also getting a chance to be represented in the parliament. Seats are being occupied for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, so that the voices of the lower caste people or the backward communities of the people can be heard, so that they can be represented. And not only that, students, the participation of women has also increased from around 4% to 9%, and a debate is being going on whether seats should be reserved for women or not. So this really puts a question mark on the fact that whether India is a truly democratic country or not, or whether the type of parliament that we are having, it is truly representative or not. So these are some questions which are still unresolved or which are still unanswered, but the fact that we are able to ask these questions and the fact that we are trying to find out solutions to these answers reflects that we have still some kind of trust in the democratic form of government. Okay, so students, these are the highlights of the chapter. So before finishing the chapter, let us do a quick recap of the entire chapter. So students, we began the chapter by discussing about the need of a parliament. Why do we need a parliament? We need a parliament so that people can participate in the decision making process, and that the government should get the consent of the people in whatever it does. In fact, the idea of democracy is best expressed through this institution of parliament, so that people can have their fair share of participation in the government. For that purpose, we need a parliament. Okay, otherwise what will happen? The elected representatives or the political leaders will simply misuse their power. And then students, the next topic we discussed was why should people decide? That means why should people be given the chance to decide? It is because when India was under the colonial rule, India had suffered a lot. So these had compelled the people of India to desire for a democracy where their voices will be heard, where they will also get the chance to participate in the process of government making. So this is the reason people should be given the chance to decide. And then students, the third topic that we discussed was people and the representatives. So representatives are basically the ones who are elected by the citizens of a country, elected by the people of a country through the process of voting, that is through the process of universal adult franchise or universal adult suffrage. That means every adult citizen who is 18 years or above have the right to vote, have the right to choose their representatives, to choose their political leaders. And then students, the last topic, the second last topic that we discussed was the role of the parliament. So the parliament plays a very crucial role in the country. It basically performs three functions. The first, to choose the national government. Second, to control, guide and inform the government. And third, lawmaking. So we discussed how the parliament helps in the selection of the national government through the process of voting. Leaders are chosen, the various elected members from different constituencies become the members of the parliament, and then the party from which maximum number of leaders are elected, that party becomes the government or the ruling party. From that particular party, the leader is chosen to become the prime minister, and then the prime minister himself or herself chooses the members from his or her party to form the council of ministers. So this is how the selection of the national government is done. And then students, the next function is to control, guide and inform the government. This is done with the help of the opposition party, and questions are asked to the ruling party or to the government regarding their working, regarding the various schemes and programs that are implemented by the government, and their drawbacks are also highlighted in this process. And students, the last topic that we discussed today is who are the people in the parliament. So students, today we came to know how there has been an increase in participation of people from all sections of the society in the parliament. Seats are now being reserved for the various backward classes, for the SCs, STs, and a debate is going on whether or not seats should be reserved for women. And all these questions are still unresolved. These questions are still unanswered, whether or not the parliament that we are having, is it a truly representative parliament. But students, the fact that we are able to ask these questions, the fact that we are able to find out solutions to this, the fact that we are able to try to find solutions to these questions reflects the fact that we still have some kind of trust in the democratic form of government. Okay, so students, this is all about this chapter. In case you have any doubt or difficulty, do let me know. And in the next class we will be starting with another chapter from history, ruling the countryside, and that chapter is also very much a part of your PT1 syllabus. So students, now I am going to give you all some question answers. Kindly write them in your copy and do it as your homework. Okay then, thank you, take care and stay safe.